Hello everyone, we're going to be working on 3.4, multiplying integers. Today your learning target is, I can describe and use the rules of multiplying integers. So these are the three ways to represent multiplication. We can show multiplication with a multiplication sign with the X, we can show it with a dot, and we can show it with parentheses. So all of these things mean to multiply. So 5 times x, or 5 with the x, would be 30. This would also be 30, and this would be 30. So parentheses means to multiply, and that dot means to multiply. So how is multiplication like addition? Well, remember that multiplication is just repeated addition. So let me show you an example. So this is my repeated addition example. So I have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Well, 3 plus 3 is 6, and then so 3 plus 3 is 6, so that would give me 12. However, we can do this since it's the same number being repeated 4 times. We can say that this is 4 groups of 3, which is 4 times 3, which is 12. Well, the same thing now is the same thing. We're going to be working with negative numbers. So if I had 4 groups of negative 3, this would be the same thing as saying that I have 4 groups of negative 3. Well, what is negative 3 plus negative 3 plus negative 3 plus negative 3? Well, that's just negative 12. So I have 4 groups of negative 3, which is negative 12. So let's go ahead and express each multiplication problem as an addition problem. So here I have 2 groups of 15. So that means I have 15 plus 15. So that equals 30. So 2 times 15 is 30. So now let's look at my next problem. So I have 3 groups of negative 4. So I have negative 4 plus negative 4 plus negative 4. Well, what would 3 groups of negative 4 be? That would be negative 12. Okay, let's go over the rules of multiplying integers. Now, if there's different signs, the answer is going to be negative. So if I have 6 groups of negative 4, that means it's negative 4 plus 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 negative 4. But that's so many times. But if we just follow rules, this will only work with multiplying. The rules for multiplying is not the same thing as adding and subtracting integers, okay? So if I have 6 times a negative 4, so I have a positive and this is a negative. So my signs are different. So that's what I mean by different signs. So if I have positive and negative, those are different. That means my answer is negative. So that means my answer is going to be negative, and then I just multiply. So 6 times 4 is 24. Let's look here. So I have a negative times a positive. Well, my signs are different. I have 1 negative and I have 1 positive. So that means my answer is going to be negative. And then I just multiply 5 times 7. So 5 times 7 is 35. So my answer is negative 35. So let's go over if the signs are the same. So same signs, the answer is positive. So if you have a positive and a positive, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a negative and a negative, your answer is going to be positive. That's the tricky thing here. So let me go ahead and show you. So my example is 2 times 6. So this is positive and positive. So they are same because I have 1 positive and another positive. So they're same sign. So my answer is going to be a positive 12. Now let's look at the second one. I have a negative and a negative. So I have the same signs. They're both negative. So that means my answer is going to be positive. All right, so 10 times 6 is 60. So my answer is positive 60. Now you're saying, well, why is that? Well, if you're taking away negatives repeatedly, right? If you're taking away the negatives, it's becoming more positive. Or if you're taking away bad things, it's becoming better or good, okay? So you can think of it that way. Or you could think about taking away debt. If you're taking away the debt, you're going to be becoming more positive. Okay, let's review. So if the signs are the same, your answer is going to be positive. If your signs are different, they're going to be negative. Do you guys see how I put like the negatives in there? Different for negatives, right? Anyways. All right, so let's go over these problems. So I have positive. So I have positive 7 times a positive 4. That's going to be a positive 28 because the signs are the same. Here I have a positive and negative. So my answer is going to be negative because my signs are different. So it's going to be negative 28. Here I have a negative times a positive. So my signs are different. It's going to be negative 28. And then here my signs are the same. So I have a negative times a negative. So my signs are the same. So it's going to be, positive. It's going to be 28. That is the end of multiplying integers for day 1.